Hello and welcome to the Vision-Led Leadership Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Vision-Led Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Arin Fugate. I am the creator of the Moon Magic Method and co-founder of the Visionary Leaders Collective. I am on a mission to remind you that your intuition is always guiding you to your divine purpose. You were born for a very important reason, and the time is now for you to shine in your truth. On the show, we talk about listening to your intuition, cultivating a successful mindset, next level leadership, and conscious capitalism. If you are new here, welcome to the Vision Led Leadership Podcast. You're in the right place if you feel like you are a visionary leader ready to uplevel your life and live in line with your true calling. I'm celebrating season 2, so welcome to season 2. Today on the show, we are talking with Emma Newman. Emma is often described as a mover and a shaker. She grew up as a homeschooler until 8th grade and learned to question things with a goal of figuring out how she could contribute to improving the world. She is passionate about sustainable urban design and self-directed growth. She started her high school's Green Team, launched a safe routes to school program, and has been working as a senior transportation planner for the last 7 years. She currently serves as vice chair of the governor appointed Oregon Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. Emma is now passionately pursuing life coaching training with the Academy of Coaching Excellence and continues to work with money adventuring clients to help people shift their relationship with money to align with their goals. Emma loves supporting change makers to build equitable and thriving communities to live the life they love. Welcome to the show, Emma.
Good afternoon, Erin. Thank you so much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. I can't wait to dive in and learn more about your story and get to know you. There's definitely many things in your bio that resonate with me, and I feel like we are probably kindred spirits on the entrepreneurial and changemaker path. So I'm happy you're here. Would you begin by just sharing a little bit about your story and how you've come to be in this space of life coaching?
I'd be happy to. So, I think the piece in my bio that really is at my core is being a contributor to my community. And over my lifetime, I've seen that that has taken many different forms. In high school, it looked like engaging in sustainability work. That led into college. I've been a professional transportation planner since, and physically planning out, securing grant funding, building crosswalks so that kids can get safely to and from their neighborhood schools. But I also see that there's so much more possibility for contribution in the world. And that's really what's led me to supporting people with their money to get clear and aligned with their money and their life goals and their values, as well as training as a life coach and supporting my life coaching clients. I really love supporting people to give their gifts to the world and so that they can live the life that they love. And that's just so clearly aligned with what you're up to with this show.
Absolutely. I mean, I often ask myself the question, kind of put the question out to the collective consciousness, which is what if we were all doing what we love, what our strengths are? We have done the work to heal any trauma that's happened in our lives, and we were putting out into the world something that we're passionate about. I really think the world would be a completely different place. Money is not the root of all evil, right? Money is just fuel, and it helps you become more of who you truly are. So I hope in my lifetime I get to hear uh, see some of this healing done between the relationship of people who really have the ability to change the world and their relationship with money. So I'm right in line with everything you're talking about.
I love our
Let's
shared
take a
vision, and I agree that to thrive as a planet, to thrive as a community, we need to be thriving at the individual level as well. So I love how you're doing work to support individuals to thrive and then be able to show up and give their contributions in whatever way resonates with who they are and what their strengths are.
I want to dig a little bit more into this money piece, if that's okay with you. I think it's a really interesting piece. And I'd just love to know what At what point in your life on your journey did you get that inspiration, and what happened, what led up to this? This is the Vision-Led Leadership Podcast. So what was the vision, what was the moment that made you go, oh, that's a space I want to be in?
Yeah, well, I have my personal experience. I went to University of Oregon, and as I was wrapping up college, I saw this cliff in front of me of, oh, I know my parents are no longer going to financially support me. Then what? And so I started reaching out to friends. I got connected with You Need a Budget as a budgeting software, started using that myself, and was just seeking clarity around how I could set some systems in place to support myself being successful with money. And so that happened in my early 20s. I've been doing personal practices for a decade. And over that time, I was able to gain clarity with how I wanted to use my money, put it towards things I cared about, whether it was contributing to charities or saving for a house. Was able to go on some trips I loved, purchase the house that I wanted to own. And so I had that personal experience, but then fast forward to 2020 and the pandemic hit. And there was a huge economic impact that had ripple effects to almost everyone in some way, some people more dramatically than others. And so, in that context, I saw that I had a skill set and some knowledge and expertise to contribute to folks who were out of a job or had finances coming in, but knew that they wanted to align their dollars with what really mattered and not just go on autopilot and kind of make do with, well, this is what I've done and I've always done it, so I'll continue. Instead, I supported people to start budgeting practices, figure out what would an ideal life look like for you in relationship to money, and start setting very clear goals to accomplish the vision that they have.
You're kind of bringing up something that I think is really important here, and has to do with the lens from which we look at money. I know a lot of times I hear people say, I don't want to have to think about money, right? I just want enough money that I don't even have to think about it. And in my experience, going from, I've lived a life where I was looking for quarters in my couch cushions so that I could buy a frozen burrito so I could eat that day. And I've also lived a life where I'm earning six figures and I'm free to give, and there seems to be plenty of money. And one thing I've learned, and I really want to get your take on this, because what I'm hearing is it actually may not matter how much money you make. It's more how you approach your money and your values and your desires. So something I've learned is the amount of zeros that are at the end of your paycheck do not change the way that you feel about life and your life. Like, if you don't learn how to make your bed every morning, you're always going to feel a little chaotic. And I think money is similar. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that you're spot on with the thoughts, beliefs, conclusions that we've drawn around money. How we show up with our mindset determines what results we'll be producing in physical reality. And there is a certain amount of, resources that people need to survive, but a lot of it really initiates with how we're thinking about our finances. And so I love seeing the transformation my clients go through. One client in particular, she came to me a bit over a year ago, and her student loans and money were the big monster lurking in the closet. She was like, I don't want to look at it. Just don't make me look over there. I'm very anxious. I don't want to deal with it. But she came to me for a reason. She had the courage. She knew that there was a better way. And she has taken consistent action. And now it's completely transformed her life, her relationships, how she's viewing her future. It's just amazing to hear that initial place she was in mentally to sharing that she now has agency and is empowered with her finances and is thinking, oh, maybe I'm making more money than I know what to do with. And yet I know that I have a plan. I'm going to do retirement savings. I'm going to have an emergency fund of this dollar amount. I'm going on the trip that I'd love to go to with my partner. And just all the joys and results that can be produced by showing up with that courage and being willing to look and take small, sweet actions is truly wonderful.
Beautiful. Yes, it's so good. I mean, there's so many ways that money can free us, and there's so many ways that our relationship with money can hold us back. So the work you're doing is beautiful, and I'm really excited to hear about the Life Blueprint workshop. So could you tell us a little bit about what that is and what we can expect there?
I'd be happy to. So, with now offering life coaching services in addition to the money mentoring, I am offering a life blueprint workshop. It's coming up on June 11th, 10:30 to noon. And it will be an opportunity for vision led leaders and other change makers and visionaries to gather on Zoom online and go through a process in community to get clear on what really matters to us in life and what are some actions that we'd love to be taking that we can put our mind focused on. We can make this blueprint, revisit it, and consistently take actions to live the lives we really love.
Oh, that's so cool. And you're giving us an incredible gift. This is a $50 value, the workshop, and you're giving it to our listeners for free. So thank you so much. The code for that is VISION, and you go to emmacoaching.com/life blueprint. I'll, of course, put it in the show notes and everything. But I do hope that some of my listeners dive into that work with you. So tell us a little bit more about your life coaching practice and what that looks like and what inspires you there.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed the money mentoring and saw that there was more of a contribution I could make in the world. I had attended courses at the Academy for Coaching Excellence, which is the program I'm training for, back as early as 2012. And I've benefited from learning more about being human. It's really what it's all about. Being human, having goals and dreams. And as we go for those goals and dreams, our mind tends to get in the way and present obstacles for us. And so I just love life coaching because I can support people to look and see what our thoughts are, but move past them and really go for the goals and dreams that are alive for us and make them come true.
You know, you've just kind of connected the dots for me on what a life coach really can be. Like, it's a great word that we choose, life coaching, but when you said going for your goals and dreams, the visual that came to mind was like your soccer coach, or your baseball coach. And do you see yourself in that role a bit? Like the person is going for this goal and you're there coaching them along and cheering them along. Can you see that metaphor that kind of came to mind for me?
Exactly. Yes, because our goals are really things that we're energized by, things that we would love to accomplish. So you set up the goalposts and then you start making your way down the field. But of course, there's going to be skill development along the way. There's going to be opponents that come up out of nowhere and you have to navigate. And so it's supporting individuals to really go for their goals so that they can score and have a bit more ease in that journey. So when they're going down the playing field, things aren't quite so hard and they can maybe find a little bit more joy and ease in the process.
Sometimes I will hear people say, I've even said it myself, that, I don't want to have a goal because I don't want to be disappointed if I don't reach it. Or I just want to go with the flow and not kind of force things. What do you say to individuals that bring up that concern?
Yeah, I hear that. And I know that everyone has goals and dreams. They may not want to specify them because that starts getting clearer and that gets scary because then we might actually go for them. But ultimately, part of being human is that we have a desire to make a difference. And so that can look so many different ways. And part of life coaching is tapping into, well, what is our heart calling for? What is our heart's desire? What is something we would love to play towards? I think often goals are set up as more of tasks or to do list items that are really not very energizing. And yet, goals in the life coaching context are things that we would love to experience. And so, when we think of it that way and set goals with that in mind, It's something that people generally like to play around with, set a goal, and go for it.
Hmm. Yeah, such a great way to look at it. It kind of reminds me of um, Abraham Hicks. And Abraham Hicks is an author that teaches law of attraction and manifesting. And really, one of the things that I've always read in their books was creating is fun. Like it's almost what we're meant to do. Not so much of like, I want this thing, and when I get that thing, I'm going to be happy. The mindset that I approach it from is I'm alive, and by my birthright, I'm a creator. And that could be putting, paintbrush to ink to paper, or it could be I want this particular house or I want this particular job. So I think it's so good to reframe that and actually have fun with your goals and your dreams and find a way to take, the stress away or the worry that what if I don't reach it? Because something I've learned over the years is it really isn't about attaining the goal, it's about who I become along the pathway to that goal. uh, that's a process of self discovery for me, and that's almost better. I think it is better actually than whatever the thing is or the accomplishment that I want to reach.
I love that. I think one of the most special pieces of life coaching is yes, people are accomplishing things through the process, but it's really getting clear on who we truly are. And when we see who we truly are, what we stand for in life, what we're up to here on this planet, and then can take actions that demonstrate that, that's when we live a really fulfilling, meaningful life. It's so much more fun when we're showing up as our whole and complete selves and giving our gifts to the world.
Hmm. Exactly. Yes. And that's what we're all about here, living your true purpose, your true calling. It's so much fun and enjoyable when you do, and then you inspire other people. So we have something in common, and I'd love to just jam on it a little bit. We both were homeschooled. So I don't know if I've ever talked about this with my listeners, but my mom took me out of public school when I was in fourth grade. And I did homeschooling all the way through getting a GED and taking my SATs and going into college. And homeschooling was such an incredible gift to me. To be honest, I'm not going to homeschool my children, not because I don't believe in it, but oh my goodness, it would like kudos to all the parents out there that are homeschooling. But tell me a little bit about your homeschooling journey and how that has contributed to the path that you're on today.
Yeah, so I was homeschooled kind of the reverse of you. I was homeschooled until eighth grade and then started going to school at that point. But those foundational early years of homeschooling were so key to who I am. As you said in my bio, I learned how to question things, just kind of be curious about the world. I'm also seeing that I learned the skills of play and how to create my own games and go out in the woods and connect with nature. And part of what is drawing me to this entrepreneurial path of coaching and mentoring is that I have more space and flexibility to do whatever calls my interest. So if I would like to host the workshop that I'm having in June, I can go do that and play in that space for a little while. If I want to work directly one on one with clients, I can do that. There are opportunities to collaborate with other people. And I just love that variety, the exploration, getting curious about questions on my mind, and then saying yes to it and seeing where it takes me.
Yes, I have some similar takeaways from homeschooling as it relates to business, and it mostly has to do with I never think that somebody else has to teach me how to do something. I know there's a book I could read. I know that I can go and find a mentor. Of course, I mean, teachers and mentors are wonderful, but I have never once been confronted by something in my business and thought, I can't do that because I don't know how to. Not to say that if you've been traditionally schooled that you would feel that way too, but I do think that homeschooling taught me how to pretty much open a book. Like there's so much knowledge for us in books and now with the internet that there's a lot of freedom in that. And yes, I agree with being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it with who you want to do it. I never did a good job at 9 to 5s because to have to be someplace at a certain time on somebody else's schedule just kind of never worked out for me. So I'm an entrepreneur because I don't follow schedules very well.
Yeah, I do follow schedules, but I'm looking forward to more time and freedom, flexibility with that. That was one of the things that resonated when I heard one of your recent interviews on the podcast was just the ability to create the schedule that really follows our intuition, what makes us come alive, tuning into our energy throughout the day, and then playing to that strength instead of
Right?
fighting it just
Yeah.
because of a certain structure.
There's some people who are super inspired in the afternoon and some that are inspired in the morning. And absolutely. Um, I think that's the key. Like as an entrepreneur, you probably feel the same way. Most entrepreneurs do. We work actually all the time. Like we work way more than if you're just tuning into a 9 to 5. But being able to know, I was just talking with some girlfriends the other night. Like there's a time of the month where maybe you don't want to have to go to work that day, or it's a day where you stay in bed and answer emails, and how beautiful it is to have that freedom. I think a lot of people got to experience that during the pandemic when you started working from home, which entrepreneurs have known for a long time. And now more and more people are looking for ways that they can be in fluid workspaces. And I think it's a little more natural for humans than being, locked in a cubicle or anything like that.
Definitely. And I also resonated with what you said about a book because just a few hours ago, two more books to self educate just arrived at my doorstep. I think opening books, seeking out resources, like part of what homeschooling contributes is that skill set of taking one's own initiative and finding out what you don't know.
Yeah. And what you're kind of bringing up for me is just because you've finished your schooling doesn't mean that you have to stop learning. So I love to learn. I know that there's lots of people listening to the podcast love to learn. So tell us, what book are you reading right now? And we'll close with that.
The book that I just received is Playing Big by Tara Moore. She's also a coach, and I started reading the sample, was inspired, and ended up buying the book. So I'm looking forward to
Nice.
reading that. And I'm also reading Emergent Strategy as an advocate and community organizer. That book is really resonating with me as well.
Nice. We will put both of those in the show notes. So, in closing, is there anything else you'd like to share with the listeners today?
Let's say I hope to see you at the Life Blueprint workshop. If you're interested in anything else I've shared today, I just love to hear what was maybe beneficial or inspiring. And if you're interested, I will be doing some book studies later this year in the fall and winter seasons, since they're appropriate for a good cup of tea and reading a book on the energy of money and mastering life's energies. So, two books that relate to money and life coaching, and it will be a lot of fun. So, hope to see some of you there.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Emma, for sharing your time and your wisdom with us today. For the listeners, if something resonated with you, or maybe you thought of a friend, please take a screenshot and share this podcast with someone. The more we grow the community, the more we can network and connect with one another. And when you know amazing change makers from all over the globe, you can make incredible things happen on the planet. So thank you for being here, everyone. And I'll talk to you next time.